Yeah.
Hey, this is Pam Medina of the Yoga Lily, theyogalily.com, the Yoga Lily teacher training program. And I'm here with one of my dearest friends, Kate Kenney. So Kate is a middle-aged woman who loves to explore her inner world and connect with spirit through yoga, meditation, divination, and conscious awareness. She is a seeker, student, dreamer, yogini, dancer, advocate, earth lover, sister, daughter, and friend. While navigating the corporate 9 to 5 life, she completed the Yoga Lily teacher training program and is now a graduate. Moreover, she is one of my dear and dearest and oldest friends.
Yeah.
So, Katie, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm really grateful
Absolutely.
for you.
Thrilled to be here. Of
Yeah.
course.
So, I was wondering if you could tell us about like what was happening in your life when like, first of all, we should say I've known Kate for what, like 30 years. I think we decided it was about 30 years because
Well,
uh,
1995 for sure. That's the year that I started school in fall, and you were on my hall. Yeah.
yeah, we lived in the dormitory together,
Yeah.
on the same floor,
Yeah.
same little area, like a few doors down. And so, you get to know people in a very intimate way when you live, when you're in the college dormitory. And um, I took my first yoga class when I was, while I was going
Potsdam.
to Potsdam as a way to get out of yoga teacher training. And, I definitely was touched by that experience, didn't really read much into it, but you got really into yoga, um, after we graduated
True.
for quite a
Yeah.
while. And you were talking about yoga teacher training then, but way before I was even teaching yoga.
Yeah. That was like 2001, 2002. My after we graduated, I moved back home and I had a roommate, and she was a coach and athlete. She was teaching girls hockey, I think. And so she invited me to go to a yoga class because she was really tight and someone had recommended yoga for flexibility. And so it was downtown Glens Falls. It was Saratoga Yoga Satellite Studio with Mark Kinder and Astara Roth, and then later Bridget Shea. And I had zero expectation walking in that door of what was going to happen. I had no idea. And 90 minutes later, I walked out with my mind completely blown, like, what just happened? And I remember thinking, like, this is really interesting. Like, here we are learning these poses and postures, and we're bringing our attention and awareness to different parts of our body that I had never even thought about, my hamstrings or, my triceps and shoulder blades. And, it was Ashtanga yoga, which is different than the style that you teach, but in all yoga, they do kind of focus on alignment and obviously all beginner classes, alignment and form. So the fact that we were taking breaths and like really focusing on certain areas of our body during the posture was wacky to me. Like I was like, this is interesting. I've never tried this before. And then at the end, they had breath work. We were doing like alternate nostril breathing, and then we had a shavasana corpse pose where you have a meditation, and it's supposed to the body kind of absorbs what you've learned. And I remember walking out just feeling so invigorated and calm and clear, and like I want to go back. Like it was kind of hard, but it was kind of fun, and it was, it was just interesting, and I wanted to know why we were doing this and like where did this all come from. And I started going to yoga in Saratoga, and because unfortunately the one in Glens Falls closed, but one of those teachers ended up shifting and teaching at Danielle Lyons' studio, which is a totally different yoga, Kundalini, which is amazing. You should try it. And that's where I invited you because you were in town and we were still connected from school, seeing each other a little bit. And then life sort of happened and we really had a big disconnect for, I don't know, 15 years, something's
Like
crazy.
12, but yeah, it was a
Yeah,
long
like we
time.
were around, but we just didn't, our lives were just doing what we were doing. And then I connected with you in 2019, 18. We got in touch on Facebook, I think, and we went to have tea, and I was like, "What are you doing?" And I had just left a 12-year relationship with a man, and I will take responsibility for my own part in its demise for sure, but like it, for a lack of a better word, was toxic, and I was just really broken and really kind of in a place of looking at all these pieces on the ground and trying to pick everything back up and figure out, what do you want? Because I didn't even know. I was just so used to like taking care of someone else. I wasn't taking care of myself. And you were like, "Oh, I'm teaching yoga." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, like I gotta go. Where are you teaching? Let me go. Let me get in this class. Let me get back to, setting intentions and mindfulness and thinking about myself for once, because I hadn't been for a long while. And I just was excited to come to your class. So started coming to class, started hanging out, and then teacher training came up. And honestly, I think I actually said to you right off the bat, and our class, like our classmates, I don't think I'm going to teach. Like, I am really excited to do the self-study and really learn about the tenets and the, like, where it all came from, our ancestors, the 8 limbs, right? Patanjali, and he didn't invent it, but he set out all of the texts and he created the system, and, why are they doing this? And then it's not just the postures, which many people go into it for that, thinking it's for exercise, which it is. It really is good to have movement for your body, but then also really delving into the yamas, the niyamas, and the meditation for me was like what I really wanted and needed. And even though I didn't, I didn't hate teaching, I just was like, I knew it wasn't something that I would need, was going in so that I could then kind of come out and teach classes as a way. I don't think any yoga teacher goes in with like going, "I'm going to make $1 million" or anything, but they do it because it speaks to them and they want to keep teaching. But
Mhm.
I just really wanted the self-study 1,000%.
That's so beautiful. Yeah. And a lot of people don't know that, you don't have to, you're not, when you sign up for yoga teacher training, you don't have to teach.
Correct.
But, practice teaching is part of the training that I offer, where we get together, we meet first with, a partner, and we're teaching each other, and those groups kind of grow gradually. And there's a lot of benefits to that because you really learn the pose.
Yes.
When, you
Thousand
know,
percent.
and and then you're also building your confidence, you know,
Mhm.
sharing your yoga with another person.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of training and courage to be brave to really, and especially when you start to teach the deeper lessons of yoga, like, because it's not that intimate. It's a little bit intimate and scary to move your body in front of a crowd and to talk about your body, but it's another deeper level of like when you start to unpack things like self-love, and like you were grieving this relationship. So how
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
you feel like the teacher training helped you deal with the grief of this relationship?
It really taught me to be still, be quiet, to still my body or move my body with an intention, and to set intentions really, for coming back to myself and providing myself self-care, learning how to calm myself down, learning how to sit with some uncomfortable stuff. You really do need to be vulnerable,
Mhm.
to kind of experience how the tenants work through you, with you, and the group that you're with, in a way that you can feel safe and whole. Because I mean, I'm still a work in progress. Like, I'm not perfect. These ideas are constantly um coming through me through different things in my daily life now, even. So like
Mhm.
just being able to think about nonviolence to myself, or, truthfulness, or um, you know, non-stealing, which you think is like physical stuff, but it's like, how am I stealing somebody else's time? How am I stealing my own, time in a situation like
Mhm.
that? So working through the asana, which is the posture practice, we have to be able to learn how to relay that to another person so they can put that on their body. But while you're in your body doing it, you're thinking about these things and being gentle with yourself and finding ways to get to yourself, like bringing yourself to the edge where it is uncomfortable and feeling what that feels like and being okay to know that you can handle that. Like that type of analogy. I know it's a little deep for just an everyday conversation, but like it really is true because if you can handle that, like the breath work to me was like really huge and has helped me tremendously since teacher training. So yes,
Mm, yeah.
and meditation. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and that's one of the things that we kind of focus on is like in the training is when we are learning about ahimsa,
Mhm.
harmlessness,
Mhm.
we, like you said, not how am I harming others, how am I harming myself? Um, we can take those concepts of like truthfulness, am I in denial about something? Um, am I able to be fully in full integrity with myself? And then of course, if you're not in full integrity with yourself, then you're out of integrity with others as well, not on purpose, but that's just a consequence of our reality. And then your and then we can learn how to like embody that and put that into yoga postures and integrate that into the yoga classes. Um,
Yes.
and then like once it's in our body, it's really like an imprinted, right? Like even when you're, you know, typing away at work, you can realize, oh, maybe I'm sitting in this way that's really injuring me, and how can I care for myself? Or do I need to get up out of the chair right now, right? Like, so
Yeah.
how do you, so, we talked a little bit about the yoga teacher training experience. So how do you feel like was like your biggest takeaway, like graduation day, or maybe it wasn't graduation day that was like your big aha moment, or did you have a big aha moment? Because it
I would say it was like a little ahas over every kind of unit that built upon each other and just really allowed me to be authentic in my teaching and authentic with my classmates because I had been kind of wearing a facade or, a mask, if you will, as a way to cope with some of the things that I was dealing with. And teaching, you're not going to be everybody's cup of tea. Like, I just think that that's the way of the world. But if you can emanate like your truth and speak to what you know, it will resonate with somebody and those people will be excited to work with you or come back because you're relating it to things that in your life, then explaining it to them, like setting an intention, like even just intention setting. I do it so much more now ever since classes ended because I've seen like the truth and the beauty of it come to life in the sense that I think about something and then I'm making steps towards that. Whereas before I was just reacting to a lot of different things and then stilling my mind and body on a consistent basis. I mean, I can't say that I meditate 7 days a week, 4 or 5. Yeah. And I really do enjoy it and I want to get to it. And I'm making self-care a part of my daily life that I never did before. And since 2019. So, and we were, as Carrie mentioned in her thing, we started in October of 2019 and it ended in October of 20. So we had 5 months of in-person before COVID hit, which was an amazing opportunity. And then we have all of this, we pivoted really well. I think that being on Zoom ended up being, it worked great, but like, here's this like media and news and a lot of chaotic energy, and we're turning in towards ourselves to listen to what do I really need, and then also working on the vagus nerve, which is a helps with the parasympathetic, I can't even say it, nervous system to help literally physically calm your brain, calm yourself, and like share that with others during a time when it's kind of insane, if that makes sense. But we had
yeah,
like,
yeah. No,
yeah,
I love that. Yeah, because we had We had coping skills to help.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would say the biggest takeaway was authenticity and like reliance on myself to know that I can do something. I mean, it was hard to teach in a sense that I was, self-conscious, but in the same vein, when I did teach classes, the feedback that I got from the people that were taking the class was like, thank you for saying this. Like, I have a bigger belly, I have a bigger body. Like, you may have to make adjustments, but you're still getting the benefits from what you're doing. And I think that people seeing themselves was huge. So like every single person has something to offer, and it doesn't, like, by being yourself, and it's gonna resonate, which I've said before, sorry.
Yeah, but and I think like having a teacher to help you kind of say, yeah, you need to adapt that. So I can give you suggestions, but you can also, explore and find what works for you. Um,
Yeah.
and then I can help you,
Yes.
kind of guide you. So now that you're a teacher, um, but you're not actively teaching, but you're still a yoga teacher. And I want to say that because um, I know who you are in the world, and I know how you are with people.
Right.
And just because we're not teaching asana doesn't mean that we aren't teaching um, the deepest truths of yoga.
Mhm.
So how do you feel like, do you feel like being a yogini has kind of um, intertwined into your identity, and if so, how does that play out in everyday life?
100%. I mean, being a yogini to me is a seeker, right? All these ancestors that have been doing this for millennia and sharing this wisdom and passing it down. Sure, I'm not maybe instructing a class, but in the people in my life that I'm dealing with or having relationships with, I'm using the tenets that help me have better, stronger relationships as far as like, do no harm. Like, how am I interacting with this person? Is it affecting them? And talking about that with my friends or my family or whoever the thing is and saying, hey, I reacted kind of a little harshly, or I realized that I was snippy or something, and this is why I realized inside this was happening, and I can share that with someone to have them a better understanding of why I reacted a certain way, and maybe next time I can then take a breath and really go, what is really happening here? Why are you feeling this uncomfortableness? And then have a different reaction to it, knowing that like it's not that person, it's more me, like being triggered by something internally. So I think that the teachings from yoga have definitely allowed me to go out into the world with a much better toolbox to work with people. And it has made a massive difference. When I look at the person that I was 5 years ago, I'm just kind of like, wow, she was really, a lot different. And not good or bad. I'm trying not to judge her because she was just where she was. But I feel like when you have an opportunity to really go inside and ask yourself these bigger questions, you're going to find some answers. And when you realize how it translates into your interactions, that they'll be passed through your interactions by saying like, hey, can I get some clarity on this? Or, trying to make something that might be a struggle a little easier in my everyday life. I know that's kind of like on the surface. I guess I don't have a specific example other than me and my everyday transactions with people.
Yeah, you talk to people all day on the phone,
Yeah.
and you have to have some composure. So do you feel like you bring in some of the like stress relieving techniques into that?
Yes. Oh, 100%. I do a lot of breath work. And I didn't take breaks before, and now I take breaks. I'm like, you are not helping yourself by not taking these breaks. And I also try, there's sometimes I can get really upset about something and I've got to take a phone call, and I really have to take a deep breath so that I can answer the call and not sound like I'm going to break into tears. But then I want to walk it back and be like, why is this upsetting me? So it is, whereas before I might not have done that. I definitely would not have taken the time to unpack my daily interactions with other people. I do it a lot more, like all the time now. And I think that as a seeker, those things are true for people that, maybe are in 12-step programs or, that are into tarot readings or other things that might be considered occult is really just, and yoga sometimes gets lumped into that as like a seeker person is just trying to learn more about themselves and others. When it really, that's what it all comes down to. So.
Mm, yeah. And you do a lot of divination. Um,
Do
we do
you?
a lot of divination
Yes.
together. A lot of our relationship. Um, and I think it's like for me, getting together to do that with you isn't necessarily about finding out what's going to happen in the future. It's more about, although that might be the question I ask,
Right.
but for me, it's more about, and a good tarot deck or oracle deck
Mhm.
um, isn't giving you the answers. It's asking the right questions,
Mhm.
and yeah, do you want to say, because right after yoga teacher training, you wound up taking like a divination course.
Yeah, I took a tarot, like how to read tarot. And for me, I think it's more of a way to confirm my own intuition because I have ideas or thoughts or downloads on things. And then when I use the cards or you know, to kind of ask about it, usually it'll kind of come up. It doesn't always, you know what I'm saying, but like it is a way to confirm something that I've already have a hunch about or I'm already feeling or thinking about. Um, is that what you mean?
Um, is that what I mean?
Is that what
Yeah,
you
I think it sometimes does help me to confirm what I'm already, thinking about. Um, but it also, kind of helps me to turn on areas that maybe I haven't been looking at.
Yeah.
You know, helps me to tap into what might I be might how do I say it? Like how I might be allowing some aspect of my being to be dormant, not active. Um,
Might bring up, yeah, other like chakras or areas that might need some work, or like how can you have compassion for this part of yourself? Those
yeah,
types of things. Yeah, for sure.
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So, so how, you're not right now teaching. So what do you feel like is, um, the most fulfilling thing that's happening in your life right now?
Um, just really time with my parents as they're
Mhm.
aging. And my friends and family, friends and family, and trying to do self-care for myself on a consistent basis because I really do crave it. And I can get that sort of fulfillment by giving myself time to take a bath or, pull some cards or meditate or read a book on crystals or, just watch a movie, just those types of things that was such a fast pacedness to my life before yoga teacher training that I really try to, even on like Sundays, as you kind of know, I really don't like to make a ton of plans. I might do one or two things, but I really like that day now to kind of go inward, focus for the week, relax, make some food that I really have been wanting to eat, or, do something, online or, uh, visit with a small visit with somebody, but then really take that evening to really reset and get ready for the week so that I can be prepared and at full strength Monday morning, because there was so many times that that was not the case for a very long time. So
Mm,
yoga teacher training definitely kind of set the framework for me to set boundaries that I didn't have before and to really hold them so that the times that I don't, I more tired, more stressed, more cranky. Like the goal isn't to never have feelings. The goal for me is to go understand why I have them so I can move through them, and I can use yoga to do that. I'll bust out some sun salutations. I will do some stretches after work from sitting in a chair for 8 or 9 hours. I have a walking pad, I just need to move, move, move. And I know that the connection between the movement and the stillness, they're equally needed. So I kind of have to like use what happened in yoga teacher training to just sort of like ensure that those things continually are stoked and the fires are burning so that I don't feel ever depleted and kind of like how much I like neglected myself for a while prior to that.
Mm, yeah.
And
Um, so when you're thinking about like the future, do you ever think that maybe you might teach yoga? Because you have the certification for the rest of your life now. I mean, you could
I
always.
do. I mean, I never say never. It's not anything, I think with my current job situation, and I'm looking to change jobs, that
Mm.
if I were to have more free time with it, it would be cool to do something um like maybe online, every once in a while, like just design a class where I could pull a couple cards and use the cards as sort of the theme for the class. I think what I really enjoy from your classes is the themes that you put together. And I know that the reason they come up and the way that you want to focus on them is because they come from your life.
Yes.
The heart chakra, rising chakras, going through the chakras and doing poses that assist all of that. But like the creativity is literally endless in creating classes. And yeah, I probably would have to brush up on my Sanskrit because, I haven't used it since then really. But you know, it would be fun to do it. And I would actually probably study it, a little bit and probably have a couple practices before I did it. But I think the ideas that you have created is genius, really. Because when I first started coming to your classes before the teacher training, that you were speaking to who you are and what was kind of going on in your life without telling us what was going on in your life, and allowing others to explore those themes for themselves. And then that's creating community and that's creating connection and that's creating this beautiful thing that happens when people practice yoga. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I unless you have, a private relationship with me, you probably don't know that the theme of the day is absolutely what's happening in my life right at that moment. So, um, but yeah, it does allow a lot of creativity. Um, and I think I feel like the most creative when I am like not just planning a class, but like executing it, delivering it and like really being um with the people.
Intentional. That's the word.
Intentional. I love that. And I love that you brought up that, about the intention setting, because that is a practice in most of my classes, if not all, that
Yeah.
we set an intention before we start to move. Um, and I
Yeah.
think that really brings so much awareness to our practice and meaning, right?
Yeah. And you can do it off the mat as well. Like it's awesome to do it specifically in that manner. But
Mhm.
even just getting up in the morning and saying, I'm going to create happiness, or I want to make somebody laugh today. Sometimes I say that, like I'm going to get somebody on the phone and I'm going to make them laugh. And I
Yeah.
do it. And sometimes I can do it a few times, and it's such a cool kind of way to like set your day up, or, just ask the universe to like, show me something, show me how, get somebody to buy me a coffee today. And like things like that can happen. It's so cool.
So tell me about like, you work at a desk job. You're
Yeah.
sitting like you 7 a.m. Is that when you start working? And okay,
My hours are 8 to 4:30, but we've kind of been short staffed for a while. So it kind of usually is
yeah, it's been a long, yeah.
I'll log in somewhere between 7:30 and quarter of 8, and then usually I'm not done until 5.
You-
So
Yeah.
definitely
So you,
depends. Yeah.
yeah. It's a long, long day.
It is.
So tell me about like those moments of inner rebellion when you're like, I'm getting up.
Well,
I'm
as you can
walking.
see, I also am required to answer a phone, so there's calls coming in constantly. So I'm tied to my phone. But I know you can't see this, but I am at I have a stand-up desk. I got that last year so that I can raise the desk up and stand full height and type. And then I also purchased last year a walking pad, which I have to kind of move stuff around, but there literally is, you can only walk on it. You can't run on it. But I'll turn that on and I will talk and type to people. I'll take phone calls and do what I need to do while I'm walking at times if I feel, I kind of definitely know how hunched this happens or, after work, I will be like, all right, let's do some Cobra. Let's do some low back. Let's do spinal seated twists. Let's do, I've got carpal tunnel. So I'm constantly, thinking about how I'm going to get my arms moving, doing arm circles even, but like, or trying to do, you forward folds and, just really move the blood around in my body. Um, and I did get like a watch that kind of buzzes me to say that I've been, um, stagnant. We'll say, I think at 10 minutes to the hour, it'll tell me like, I set a goal to have 250 steps every hour. And if I haven't met it, it'll buzz me. And so I'll be like, oh, like depending on what I'm doing, I might have to like stop and kind of run around my kitchen and dining room kind of do these little like
Mhm.
walks. Or, at lunchtime, I only get a half hour. I don't have a very long lunch break. So there's a little loop that when I get outside, I love to do. That's 15 minutes. So up and back. And then I have 15 minutes to eat the food that I'm going to do. Or if I want to go longer, I'll go longer and then just eat at my desk. But, I didn't really think about those things prior to, I mean, I was also in a office setting, so I couldn't, we didn't have stand-up desks. We didn't have anything. We had desks in a cubicle, right? And chairs. And
Mm.
so being at home was allowed me to find creative ways to keep moving because they get stored, my arms and hands and everything, just legs, you name it. Like it's just sitting like my hips. I'm like, oh, I need to do some hip openers. So that has come in handy is to give myself a little stretch session. Um, and then if I want to do something a little more like heart inducing, I will do sun salutation. So that has been really key little back pocket thing. So that's definitely helped.
So it's like these hidden gifts of the pandemic for a lot of us. Like the pandemic was so painful, and it had, a lot of pain and sorrow and loss. And then there was also some beauty that came from that, in that space of the unknown. And like between the sorrow and the grief and the beauty and there's like the mystery was allowed just so much to happen. And you wouldn't think that from that you would find like all these new ways and really innovative ways to practice self-care, but
Yeah.
you've been really proactive to say, I'm going to take care of myself and I'm going to think outside the box to make it happen, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had such an awesome team too. Like my classmates, like everybody was so unique and um interesting and just seeing people grow too. Like it was definitely uncomfortable at times. Like I would never say, it's the easiest thing ever. It wasn't. There was a little bit of growth, there's growth that always kind of happens. So being vulnerable in front of them, I felt really supported and well loved because I got to know them so well. Like that was a year-long process. And uh I love those people so much.
Me
And
too.
you created a great space for that. So I'm just saying, like, you definitely should take the teacher training. You need.
um so um you I love that you speak so highly of it. I'm curious what you would change about it.
That's an interesting idea. Um,
Like, what did you say to your sister when I wasn't around that you hoped I would never hear?
No, it wasn't like that. I think sometimes I wish I didn't like wait to the last minute to like, procrastination would be something that might happen. You gave us plenty of time to do everything we needed to do. We had things we had to read, we had things we had to teach, we had to work with a partner on things. It was
Mm,
a mix of lecture versus getting out and being practical and using it and using all the skills that we were doing and then taping ourselves and going back and watching it and being like, what was good, what was bad. We had a lot of feedback, both kinds, constructive and like, this was, you are amazing at this. Like, you are so good at, you know, drawing people in or, explaining a very specific thing when we were working with each other. So that was really nice to see people kind of bloom where they were as it went on and as it got closer to the end. And then we did get to meet. I would say I wish we were outdoors more, but we had to
mm.
make, do with what we had. And we did go outside a little bit in the fall, and then we weren't able to until the very end when we all met back up for graduation. But um, I don't know. I don't think there was I didn't know my expectations. I'd never like. I know that I told you I'd like way back in the 2000s when I was like, I want to do teacher training. And I didn't ever end up doing it because the job that I got ended up making it so that my schedule didn't allow me to keep going to the class that I was going to. And it was a totally different style of yoga,
Mhm.
which has its own merits. And I don't even know where I'm going with this. I'm just saying that like I loved our class and I thought there was a lot of flexibility and there was a lot of room and space to grow. Like
Yeah.
nobody made anybody feel bad or ashamed or, if somebody wasn't getting something, we all kind of tried to hop in and give a hand or try another way, you know?
Shame would be totally unacceptable.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
not absolutely not allowed.
And we sang
Yeah.
like we had when you would get out was it called the harmonium? We haven't,
I
like
did
we
play a little bit of harmonium and the drums, yeah.
drums and some chanting and we had like we all had cleaning things that we got assigned to do to clean the studio when we were there at the
Oh,
night to make sure all the chairs were back where they had to go and the trash was taken out and like we were part of a community that really um was so much fun. Like you wanted to take care of it because it was a living, breathing thing. And the other thing was, the classes all got to create their own. We had a talking stick when we were doing real deep discussions, and we created a piece of jewelry that actually Carrie put together. Um, and I thought that was so beautiful. Like just everything kind of had meaning, even when we didn't realize it. And yeah, the talking stick. These are her classes. Yeah.
this is
Right.
Carrie, the one that Carrie made.
Yeah. And we all picked a different stone and she made that with her hands. Look at her. She's awesome. Isn't that pretty? And then there's a feather. That feather is gorgeous.
This was my first year's. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's so
So
cool.
I've done, yeah, 5 teacher trainings and I took 1 year off and then after the pandemic, I took a few years off.
Yeah. Well, you
But
kind of, yeah, switched gears. So
thank you for mentioning the talking stick.
I love the talking stick. That's one of my
Mhm.
favorite things. You just did a lot of things within it to make us feel special while we were growing and learning.
Yeah.
And I thought, anybody would benefit from, without even teaching, you will benefit from taking the course.
Yeah, because you know what, we deserve to be made special and I love that you shared that your journey of like learning how to make yourself feel special. One of the things I love about visiting you is that you always have fresh cut flowers for yourself. Nobody
Yeah. I
nobody
never did
buys.
that before. I always loved flowers and I just was like, I'm buying the flowers, like who cares? Like here, and whatever spoke to me that week, they would be there for the week. So.
Yeah, it's so lovely. Absolutely love it. Yeah. So, what would you say to say somebody that's interested in taking the training or becoming a yoga teacher, any through in any discipline really, any lineage of yoga that maybe, but they don't want to become a teacher? What would you say to them?
If they're on the fence about whether or not it's
Whether or not to take the training and yeah.
ugh, do it. You're never gonna regret it. Like I feel that if you can come with an open mind and like not bravery, but like just be willing to try, that you're going to surprise the heck out of yourself, that you are going to be supported and loved and encouraged, and also learn so much about yourself and the other people that you're working with and how to communicate better, because you're going to have to teach somebody something. Like we remember when we first started getting little groups to be like, let's teach somebody how to do, I don't know, downward dog or something. And we couldn't look at them and we just had to say the words. And then you had us look at everybody what they were doing after we finished saying what we thought they needed to do to get into that position. And it was like, they were not in the position that they needed to be, because like you can't just say certain words. You have to, like, as they're getting to it. It was like a game of telephone, it was kind of funny that everybody ended up not how you thought they would be, and how you really did need to choose your words so that you people could understand what you were doing. But it was really kind of funny.
Oh yeah, I think that I remember the game. You were getting them into a pose, but you couldn't tell them what the name of the pose was.
Yes.
Think you like you drew a name of a pose, and then you had
Right.
to try to it was like for the first day it was like a not icebreaker game, yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
people
trying to
were
get somebody, yeah. And then it was like, how would you tell them to get into this pose? And it was hilarious, essentially. But I'm just saying, like, have a sense of adventure, have an open mind, allow uncomfortableness to be there, because that's where the growth is going to happen. Allow yourself to feel the things you're going to feel and be authentic. And then you're golden. Even if you don't teach, like, you will have learned so much and felt so much and grown. And I keep saying that over and over. I'm sorry, but it's
nothing sorry about you. I mean, I love that you brought up feeling uncomfortable,
yeah.
um because I think that a lot of people um they they want to try new things, but they don't because they feel uncomfortable. Um, and it's almost becoming cliche to say this as a yoga teacher, but like it's like a new yoga pose that you've never done, right? You will feel uncomfortable
Hmm.
because more than likely, if you're really putting your full effort into it, you're going to feel uncomfortable because you're finding a new edge,
Yeah.
and um and I feel like that is so important. Um, yeah, do you have any final thoughts that you'd like to share?
I mean, a lot of what I've already said will just kind of reiterate, but mostly that I don't regret for one moment taking the course. Even though I went in going, I don't know if I want to teach, like, it's not something that, like, I have this strong desire to do. But I'm feeling like all of the information that I learned has helped me in so many other ways within my life, for self-care, for self-preservation, for um just understanding myself better so that I can understand others better. That's all, really. But like,
Is that the personal expansion that you speak of?
yes, yes,
Yeah.
definitely. It was just realizing things about myself. Why do I do that? Looking at patterns, using the techniques, the meditation, and the yamas and the niyamas to really, like, test the theory. Like, where am I harming myself? Like, non-violence or truthfulness. Like, where am I lying to myself? You know, those
Yeah.
tools really just opened up an entire different universe for me. So, and I'm forever grateful. And it can't be undone. It's going to be lifelong. So it's just going to keep expanding.
Yeah.
So,
You're one with the universe and there's
That's
nothing
right.
you can do about it. Mm,
Trying to anyway.
Kate. Oh, thank you so much for being here and sharing your experience. And um, yeah,
My
so
pleasure. Absolutely. Yay.
yeah, yeah. So be on the lookout for Kate Kenney's awesome personal expansion adventures coming your way.
That's right.
Take a deep breath in. Ah, namaste. Namaste. Mm,
Thank you, Pam.
thank you, Kate.